We can, in a very relatively short period of time, heal our earth. I know we can, I've seen it firsthand, and so I decided to start doing it on my own. Hey, I'm Woody. I'm an earth repairian. Today we're going to show you guys around the homestead here in New Braunfels, Texas, and share some of the things that we've created and talk a little bit about why. Start with, this is our 2,500 gallon rainwater collection tank. The front of the house, we built a solar power port that powers our car and almost 100% of our power needs on the property. And we collect the water coming off of that power port. Stacking functions, also providing shade as a shade structure for construction area, a staging area for our photo shoots, and also for shade for our cars, for our electric vehicle. Follow me and we'll show you the rest of the property. This is that shade structure. I call it the Tesla solar port, or the Tesla port for short. It was rebuilt out of mostly recycled materials. As you can see, we hang the canoe underneath it. We can drop my canoes right down on top of the cars when we're going out on the rivers. Most of the materials are upcycled. We made the custom roof joists, and here on the property, we milled a lot of the wood right here on site. And it provides 7 kilowatts of power to our homestead and powers almost 100% of the energy we need for our electric vehicle, the Tesla. And that's what we put about 98% of our miles on. Every once in a while we'll use a truck or a bigger vehicle, but we mostly use all of our transportation needs with that vehicle. So we are sun powered in that sense. This is a wraparound porch that I built, and it kind of became kind of a surprise. I did it to get the water away from the foundation of the house because we had so many water issues when I purchased this 1950s home. Again, stacking functions because it draws wind, which you can feel right now coming through these vortexes, through these wraparound porches. So I love that design. If I were ever to build a home on a hill and the hills and hill country of Texas, I would build it just like this, like ranch style with big wraparound porches, because it's been such a pleasure to work and hang out under these long wraparound porches. We recycled the material from here in the neighborhood. This was I heard them tearing down a whole Fockworth, 1850s Fockworth house. Across the street, I ran over there and said, y'all taking this to the dump? And the guy said, you can have as much as you want. It was just enough to use going all the way around the house and the porches. We make use of field milled pecan that I cut down probably 15, 20 years ago when I was working for an arborist. This is where Andrew Gonzalez, who is on camera, and I have been getting a lot of the work done during the COVID. We do all our designs here and our brainstorming. We've been getting a lot of really good work done here, and it's as a part of that extension of the wraparound porches, this becomes our workspace, and that air moves through here, and it's just really nice working out here. Even in the heat of the summer, it's a nice place to be. We use the blackboards for some dart games and also for just messaging to people who are working here on the farm, interns we have occasionally. I started building this path, Masanumbo Fukuoko and One Straw Revolution, and sowing seeds in the desert, I believe was his last, God bless his soul. He really inspired me to build your path, find your path, build your path, and maintain your path. And it's really a theme around here. So we spent a lot of time maintaining these paths. They're all rolled river rocks from the Guadalupe and a little bit from Cibolo Creek. So it's a really good energy that it brings to the property, and it kind of helped define pulled water away from the house. Again, stacking functions, getting the moisture from underneath the house, the pier and beam structure, and then pulling it out into our gardens where we want the water. And so there's another rainwater tank. We have 4 total on the property, creating a redundant rainwater catchment system. The stainless steel tank should last a lifetime, and we're able to disperse the water throughout the property on 4 different corners of the property, again, from the redundant system. You'll see how we started using rocks to make the beds. I'm an artist at heart, and so to be honest with you, there's probably a lot more efficient and prolific ways to make beds and straight lines or using sacred geometry patterns. and as far as harvesting and such, but I wanted this place to be beautiful. I wanted to have kind of umlauf sculpture garden feel to it, and I think that we created that here. And we do grow way more food than we need on the property, which is one of the main goals of permaculture, is to create abundance through good design and execution of that design. With that being said, not a whole lot of design prowess in this, with the exception of the Ekman spiral that you enter into the outdoor shower here through an Ekman spiral, and you get privacy from that spiral. Back in here, we take 90% of our showers, but not only that, we come in here to cool off in the summertime. It's a very easy, quick, centralized location for that to happen. Clean off our boots, clean up our tools in here sometimes. So this is a really multi-use, multi-purpose washing, vegetables, showering facility. And I think I'm gonna build a sink, like a vegetable sink on the outside over there if we keep this outdoor shower. It's been a very good return on investment on that. This is a good example of our beds where we succession plant our beds. Succession planting is, in short terms, is just planting 2 weeks and then wait, plant the same plant 2 weeks later, and then that way you're harvesting 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And so here's peppers. We succession planted peppers in these other beds about 2 to 3 weeks approximately before these beds. And then we just recently converted these from winter beds to spring and early summer beds. You can see that we repeated that idea. The berm and swell system is kind of in place here on our raised beds. We come down into our swells. We can work down in here. This is where all the water collects from the property when it overflows from the rainwater storage tanks. And these swells are the lowest areas of our property. And if you'll follow us over here, we can show you the lowest part of the property, which we dug, and we call it the wicking pond. Some people call it a rain garden. If it were planted like a garden, then we certainly would be calling it that. But really, we have these hugelkultur beds around the pond. So the rotten wood in the bottom of the beds wicks the water. When this fills up during a rain event, the water gets about this deep in here. And we believe the beds this deep and then all the way over here, that these beds wick that water up, and therefore it's called a wicking pond. You can see the other two rainwater tanks over here. Again, I can't emphasize setting up redundant systems. Our city water supply is one place we get our water supply. We filter the heck out of it. And this is the other place we get our water supply. So that in itself is a redundant system. And then this rainwater system has redundancy in it as well. Can't recommend more metalraintanks.com. Those guys are excellent at building really high quality rainwater tanks. Initial investments higher on stainless steel tanks, but I believe over the lifetime it will pay for itself. This is one of our more productive beds right now. We're shifting from chard. We've been eating a lot of chard and putting it in soups and sautés and cooking it, and we're shifting it over to a peppers and tomatoes bed. You can see the garlic is about ready to harvest here as well. We built a lot of yard art around this guy's, one of my buds that my daughter and I built a few years ago from leftover wood materials. We're just trying to have fun and stay whimsical and stay on our toes. We learn things when we build things out of the box, and I have a Earth Repair Corps to thank for putting on a permablitz here. It's one of the best days of my life, or best weekends, where people came out and helped community build this bed in particular. Alan Hamilton helped build, and Jesus, and a couple of my just really truly good friends. And we also put in the rainwater collection system and built 2 more beds over on the other side of the property. We'll show you here in a moment. I designed a utility corridor. The property is basically a rectangle, and so I designed a utility corridor to come from the far northeast side of the property to go to the far southwest side of the property, to where I can bring a truck and trailer and access this small piece of land that came with the property when I purchased the back here, the 1/4 of an acre. And this really helps because we have a place to store wood materials, boats, and we're still got some materials to move back here because we just got finished redoing all the fences in here and making this more usable. But that's going to be an invaluable amount of space where we'll be able to store materials and cages and metal and things that we use around the property. This is a new bed that we just built. I'm really happy with it. We just kind of did it totally different. We're always experimenting. We did this one a lot different than anything else. I just piled a bunch of some soil had been here that we took out of the wicking pond years ago, and then I just started pouring compost, mulch over it over the years. And now we just kind of added to it and built it up and planted a bunch of veggies in it, and it is just going off. If you can see down here, there's some squash starting to produce here, Andrew. Look at these babies. Can you see those? Look how pretty those things are. It's going really well, I would say. Like Cytotes grama there, the grasses, we're trying to stick with all natives. These are 2 Texas persimmons that we actually transplanted. They look great. A mesquite tree that we transplanted. It's looking really, really healthy. So I'm very happy with the way that bed's going. We even planted some thistle, which is very good for prostate and prostate health and cancer kind of resistance and even potentially COVID stuff. So you can make tea out of this. We're always thinking about diversity, sweet potatoes. This is an American beauty berry. We have all kinds of different tomato varieties planted. Golden shower thyrolis will mix in budding, flowering plants with our vegetables so that attracts birds and propagators and all kinds of wildlife. And side of our tool shed, this is our whimsical tool shed that Kirby Fry, my good buddy and mentor, helped me build. Good stock tool belt is a necessity. We have a radial arm saw and table saws. We've got a lot of equipment stored in a really small space in here, and it's this is really one of the better return on investments I've gotten out of any build as well, building this with Kirby. We reused windows out of the house that we had torn out, and we're always trying to find ways to reuse, upcycle, repurpose materials. I mean, most of the time they're free, if not pennies on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar for these big beams behind us that we're going to build the next studio out of. And you just get something with character and a story and texture and depth, and that's really what we're seeking, or I'm seeking here on Earth Repairian's lab, kind of demonstration lab property, because we want it to be fun for people. We want kids to be astonished when they come here and work around and go through all the mazes and little special places, little surprises all over the place. So that's part of our theme, and beauty is certainly one of the main drivers for me in permaculture design. So these are the beams I was talking about. We might use those in our new studio construction, or we might use them to fundraise. We might sell them to you guys. If we need the money bad enough, we'll do whatever we ought to do. The gabion fence here is something I came up with. I looked all over online. I didn't see anything like it. My good buddy Mark Manthy's building a gabion rock fence around the corner. I've been helping him with that. And I had cordwood, and I thought this was a good solution for a wood lot-based permaculture design. So a lot of the Northeast has a lot of more wood than they need on their permaculture lots, and so this could be a use for that wood, and you're going to build a kind of a legacy fence, a fence that's going to last 50, 60 years and have some privacy to it and still look good and interesting and not like a privacy fence. Panel fence. We have a fire pit. We have guests stay in our casita. That's what we call our casita port, which was additionally extra materials just left over from the Tesla port we built up front. Here's again where we designed this utility corridor. I'm able to have tree companies pull right back in here and drop all of this invaluable golden luscious mulch. I love this stuff. Most of this property, most of the tilth, most of the biodynamics and rebuilding of the soil and the humus layers and the tilth on top of the soil on this property happened because of this energy input coming onto the property. I certainly did not have that energy input in the forest that was here. There wasn't a large enough, mature enough forest to harvest off of, so we had to have an energy input come in, might as well have a free one, an organic one. I pretty much knew all the time where these materials were coming from, the properties they were coming off of. It's a good mix of cedar and cedar elm and oak and pecan from pecan bottoms and hackberry. It's like got all this different dynamics and minerals in it, and it just really is good for building soil. This property here was just cracked in big giant cracks and thirsty and open when I first bought the land. The first thing I did was threw wildflower seed out. We got a pretty good harvest, or a good blooming in the spring of that year, but that wasn't enough. We really had to turn it into overdrive by bringing in all of this mulch material, which is most of the time harvested in the neighborhood, which is really important. We're actually helping the tree companies because they don't have to drive. We're reducing their logistics. They're driving out to the county dump or wherever they have to go, and they're happy to do it here. And so I've developed a real keen ear for in the neighborhood. Any given day within 8 blocks, I can hear a tree mulcher going off. And we do have a neighborhood with a lot of trees, so that's really beneficial for me to be able to bring that energy onto the property and just be patient, and eventually it all turns into compost and humus and soil and all the stuff that we need to be insulating our soils and rebuilding our soils. These 2 beds were built during our perma-blitz as well. I really just appreciate all the hard work by Mr. Van Dyke and Jenny and all the people that put their hearts into this project. And these beds have been really prolific, and I truly believe that the love that went into these beds is part of the abundance that we harvest here on the property. Having people come and hosting and learning with them and sharing in the abundance and sharing in the good news. I mean, that's what we're about. And you know, the reason why I started this journey, the way I found my path was through photography and through a profession. We were out traveling doing sustainability stories, and I just was seeking solutions. Like I believe that we were, you know, there's a problem ecologically. We have some really big challenges ecologically that humans are going to be confronting with our earth systems. And permaculture, to me, as a package, and holistic grazing and holistic management and regenerative agriculture were all solutions. They were all design-based solutions that are palatable, achievable. There's examples all over the world, proof of concepts of it being scalable. And so we can in a very relatively short period of time, heal our earth. I know we can, I've seen it firsthand. And so I decided to start doing it on my own. I was tired of telling other people's good stories and not telling my own good story and living my own good story. And so that's where all of this started on this property. I was kind of almost gifted the back property, and that's another story I'll share with you guys some other time. And I knew it was put into my lap and put into my hands by a greater power for me to take care of and for me to improve and heal. And I truly believe that if you heal the earth, we heal the earth, we heal ourselves. And that has been my experience so far. We're just getting started. We're just starting to learn how dynamic these systems can be and how you can close the loop on these systems and stop being so dependent on the grocery stores of the world and the feed stores and all these other systems, and bring it all back home and close that loop as much as possible to where you're creating you're empowering your own family and creating a system that you can pass on as a legacy to your children and your grandkids of how to better take care of the earth and to even leave abundance and a legacy behind of abundance. So this has been what I like to refer to as the Earth Repairian Demonstration Labs. I got that name from Kirby Fry. A demonstration lab in permaculture is something that is a lab, a scientific lab, an outdoor lab, to where you try things over and over again, and then you demonstrate to other people and you share the good news of what can be, what we can do, what we have the power to do, the choices we have to make regardless of the politicians and the polarization in DC and the wars and the famine and all these things around the world. We all as individuals and as neighbors have the power to change, to make the change right under our feet in our own backyards. If you live in an apartment, you can be a community activist and find public land where you can plant a community garden on. It's happening all over the country. And here at Earth Repairian, we are going to start telling those stories to you guys so that we can mimic and multiply these systems that are sustainable, ecologically sustainable, but also rejuvenating, ecologically creating ecological abundance for all animals, not just human animals, but every animal, every dolphin, every monkey, every dog. So come along with us, Andrew Gonzalez and River Dog, and our new friend Randy that's going to join our team. We're going to take you guys on a trip. It's going to be an Earth Repairian extravaganza. We're going to meet Earth Repairians. We're going to make Earth Repairians. We're going to be Earth Repairians, and we're going to do this together. Ready. I'm Woody. I'm an Earth Repairian. You too can be an Earth Repairian. We'll see you next time. If you enjoyed our video, like, share, and subscribe below. And remember, when you heal the earth, you heal yourself.